Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, the game that keeps on giving, sort of, depends a little bit on how you look at it, considering that a big part of the community is still locked at Mas Kanata's castle. Please fix TT Games. I'll talk more about that in another video, but today I wanted to talk about some very promising stuff for the future of this game, as well as just a little bit about the recent DLC, as I haven't talked about that on this channel, just on my second channel. So if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Lego Star Wars and other Star Wars games as well, although the main focus is of course on Lego Star Wars right now. And don't forget to subscribe to my second channel for daily clips on Star Wars as well. But let's dive straight into it. So first of all, let's talk just briefly about the DLC before I move on to the most important part of the video. So we've got the Mandalorian Season 2 DLC and the Bad Batch DLC. I have to say the Bad Batch DLC is honestly quite underwhelming. Sure, they look like they're supposed to, but since they don't have any voice lines, they don't really stand out from each other. I mean, sure, Hunter has his vibro knife blade, which is pretty neat, but other than that, they don't really have a lot of unique stuff. I mean, I hope that Wrecker would have some cooler melee abilities and be a little bit of like a brawler, but he's kind of just like the rest of the Bad Batch, with nothing unique. I mean, sure, Crosshair has his like long-range blaster rifle, but that's about it. Overall, it's a DLC I would not have paid for, to be honest. Now it's included if you had a deluxe edition, so fair enough, but I wouldn't have bought it separately. When it comes to the Mandalorian Season 2 DLC, it's a little bit better, because Ahsoka has some great animations. Her lightsabers look and sound amazing, same goes for the Darksaber of Moff Gideon. And then of course we have Bo-Katan with her dual-wielding blaster pistols and jetpack, so there's more unique stuff in this DLC, but again, the big missing thing is still the voice lines. There are so many opportunities, especially for Ahsoka, with like, I feel like half the roster in the main game that she could interact with in some way. So I'm definitely a bit disappointed that they didn't record any voice lines for any of the DLC characters at all, considering how many obscure characters in the main game that they recorded voice lines for. Overall, Mando Season 2 DLC, pretty good. Bad Batch DLC, I would definitely have skipped it. So now let's move on to some big stuff. You guys are probably familiar with modding. It exists in most games, with everything from small visual tweaks to basically making a brand new game within the game. Well, for Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, this is starting to ramp up. There are actually different types of mods and different modders. There's not really a set mod tool. Like for Battlefront 2, there's one type of modding tool that everyone uses, but everyone's kind of creating their own for Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, so I wanted to focus on what I would say is the most important stuff, which is the mods that Jedi Josh has created. I mean, he's practically creating everything that is missing from the game, or at least the big stuff that people have complained about, including a character customizer, an NPC spawner, and even getting the Venator to be playable. He's only released one mod publicly so far, which is the unlimited jetpack mod, which I've had for a few weeks now, and it works really well. It's kind of on in the background when you play the game, so you won't notice it unless you press a specific key on the keyboard, which brings up this menu that you can then tweak and make the jetpack work however you want it to work simply. It was really easy to install this mod, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the rest of the stuff I'm gonna show now being available for the public, because those are the big things. So let's start off with the character customizer. He actually posted this video with some work in progress for his character customizer a couple of weeks ago, and by the time he made this video, he could simply randomize the looks of the characters in the game. I think it just takes like any piece available in the game and randomizes, but that was just kind of like a proof of concept to show that yes, I'm able to change the appearance of the characters you play as in the game. And then the next step is obviously gonna be to actually have like proper customization where you can choose between the different parts and create any character that you want. And how long that's gonna take, I have no idea. I feel like that's probably a pretty big project to make, but the fact that he's shown that he can put out a public mod, he can change the appearance, makes me think that within a couple of months we will probably have an actual working character customizer. And I guess I have to mention that yes, obviously this only works on PC, because as far as I know at least, there's no way to tweak the files on console. So this is only gonna be available on PC unless TT Games surprises us and releases something like this officially. The next thing, which I am both disappointed and excited about, is actually the Venator. Because as a lot of you probably know, they cut the Venator from the game. It's actually in the files, and he shows here like how much that was in the files, because he hasn't like created the Venator from scratch. He just unlocked it in the files, and as you can see, it's like pretty much done as far as I can tell. He is able to run around in the hangar, run around in the control room. The actual encounter with the boss of the Venator is also available, and once he beats the boss, he can actually buy and unlock the Venator to own it. So as you can see, the Venator was pretty close to being finished. It looks like it could have been one of the coolest capital ships in LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, which just really makes me hope that they're gonna eventually patch this into the game. I get that like a character customizer and stuff, that's literally like a brand new feature, but the Venator is something I feel like they just gotta polish up and fix and then put into the game, because the mechanic and the stuff is obviously already there. But hopefully this is another mod that at some point we will be able to play with ourselves. I don't know how much that would like bug out the game if you basically unlock a capital ship that isn't even supposed to be available, but that's a question for another day. I was very happy when I saw this gameplay nevertheless, because yeah, the Venator does look amazing. Lastly, he's also working on an NPC Spawner, because if you're like me, think that there's maybe too little enemies in most areas, especially when you're free roaming. I would love to be able to fight some more groups of enemies, and with this he's obviously able to spawn pretty much any NPC at any point, and that could create some incredible scenarios, to be honest. Like imagine just being able to spawn in 20 enemies of literally any character in the game. I think, yeah, that would be great, because you would be able to do it with any character, any amount, at any planet. And yes, that's definitely a mod heavy feature and not something that I ever think they would add to the actual official game. But I mean, I could see myself creating some really fun stuff with this once it becomes publicly available. I like how he picked to choose like the showering Dooku times 30 to fight off against. So I'm very excited to see what else Jedi Josh is gonna do. He seems to be a very experienced modder. He's got a ton of stuff on his channel from other games as well. So I will leave a link to his channel in the description below if you're interested in checking out all of his stuff. And maybe you can give him some ideas of like, what kind of stuff you want to see him add to the game. Although I feel like he probably has his hands full right now with the projects that I showed in this video. And to be fair, he did kind of pick the most important stuff that people want to see. So let's hope that he can finish those mods, and then we can talk about other stuff. Anyways, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, what you think about these mods, as well as the most recent DLC packs for LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.